This is CBN NewsWatch.
And thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Heather Sells. We begin today with the Supreme Court hearing arguments Wednesday in a key case on abortion and the question of how much states can regulate providers. As Paul Strand reports, it is all about whether states can require abortion doctors to have admitting privileges at their local hospital.
The court was swamped with hundreds of activists for this first major abortion-related case the court's taken up in years.
The big issue here is whether Louisiana can mandate that its abortion doctors have admitting privileges for their patients at a local hospital.
Every other practitioner in Louisiana is held to that same standard, and abortion doctors should be held to that same standard.
Those representing the abortion clinics say that's not really necessary because abortion is such a safe procedure.
Every major medical organization in the United States agrees that these laws do nothing whatsoever for health and safety.
But the other side says that's the main issue because women's safety is on the line.
States should be able to prioritize health and safety over the business interests of the abortion industry.
Abortion shouldn't be given a pass. It should be held to the exact same standards as other outpatient surgical facilities.
This case involved abortion providers like this woman and her clinic. Louisiana argued they are the last people who should be arguing against the safety of women in those clinics.
It's really like the fox guarding the henhouse because there's a real conflict of interest.
Should the abortion industry have the right to challenge legitimate, common sense state health and safety regulations when their interests are directly opposed to the women whose health is protected by those statutes?
We haven't seen one woman come forward challenging this law and saying she doesn't want this health and safety protection.
The interesting thing to the casual observer is this case looks like a rerun of the last big abortion case the court heard. In 2016, it ruled that Texas abortion doctors did not have to have admitting privileges to a local hospital.
Why are we back here again just 4 years after the court declared that this very same law was unconstitutional in Texas?
The big difference now, though, is 2 Trump appointees to the high court, which may have, for the first time in decades, given it a pro-life majority. We'll likely find out when the court rules on this case, probably sometime in June. Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the Supreme Court.
And one group that supports the Louisiana law is Project 21, a Black pro-life coalition sponsored by the National Center for Public Policy Research. Justin Danhoff, General Counsel for the center, joins us now. Justin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me on, Heather. I really appreciate it.
So I want to ask you, Project 21 filed a Friends of the Court brief arguing that Black women face disproportionate harm during abortion procedures. Tell us about the concern.
Well, sure. So if you look at where abortion clinics are set up, they're disproportionately in minority-centric communities, right? And so if we look at the founding, for example, of Planned Parenthood, there was no hiding the fact that Margaret Sanger was an anti-Black racist. She was a white woman who had racist tendencies through and through. And to this day, Planned Parenthood is carrying out that mission. A disproportionate number of abortions in this country are within the African-American community, and it's largely by design, and that's, frightening, shocking, horrifying, and that's what the brief talks about.
If the court rules in favor of the Louisiana law, how do you see that affecting the safety of abortion procedures across the country?
Well, it used to be that, the anti-life folks, as I refer to them, used to say that abortion should be rare, legal, but safe. And now they seem to have abandoned that. And so in this instance, we really think Louisiana is looking out for the safety of all women, and we think other states will follow suit if this law is upheld.
All right, I want to ask you, you follow corporate America and its stance on social issues quite a bit. When it comes to abortion, you have been following a movement by pro-abortion investors who are ramping up the pressure on companies to support pro-abortion initiatives. Tell us about that effort and how widespread is it?
Well, it's a frightening new movement from the As You Sow network. What they've done is this year they have filed 5 shareholder resolutions for the first time since 1973, since Roe v. Wade was decided, on the topic of abortion. And their aim is to, quote unquote, get companies to make the business case for abortion. Think about that. I would like someone to offer the inverse question, right? why is it good to kill potential future customers? That's what I want, the media to start asking these corporations, because, look, you would think that these anti-life activists would be happy with their standing in corporate America, right? More than 36 major American companies fund Planned Parenthood to start with, okay? Last year, after Georgia passed its heartbeat bill, over 180 CEOs signed a full-page advertisement in the New York Times saying that pro-life legislation is, quote, bad for business. Again, how is it good for business to kill off potential future customers?
Well, it's
it just
a
doesn't make
fascinating
it.
question, and I'm so sorry we're out of time, but Justin Danhoff, thanks for your insights on all these important questions.
Thanks so much, Heather.
Well, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer is apologizing today for the comments that he made attacking Supreme Court Justices Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh as they heard arguments on that Louisiana case. Schumer spoke to abortion supporters at a rally outside the High Court yesterday. Here's what he said.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
Republicans criticized Schumer for the remark. Speaking on the Senate floor today, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said they will never let Schumer's, quote, dangerous views become policy.
At the very best, his comments were astonishingly reckless and completely irresponsible. And clearly, as the Chief Justice stated in a rare and extraordinary rebuke, they were, quote, dangerous, end quote. Because no matter the intention, words carrying the apparent threat of violence can have horrific unintended consequences.
President Trump also weighed in, tweeting, "There can be few things worse in a civilized, law-abiding nation than a United States senator openly and for all to see and hear threatening the Supreme Court or its justices. This is what Chuck Schumer just did. He must pay a severe price for this." For more perspective on this now, we turn to Mark Martin, the Dean of the Regent University School of Law and the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of North Carolina. Chief Justice Martin, thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
So quite an interesting situation that we have here. What is your take on Chuck Schumer, the Senate Minority Leader, talking about Justices Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, saying that they will, quote, pay the price. You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions. He has said this morning that he shouldn't have said that, but says he was not making a threat. What is your take on him speaking out like that?
Well, I am not a politician. I have given my life to improving and trying to protect our courts. So I thank the senator for his comments this morning. I also think he has a great opportunity now. I'm not going to pile on Senator Schumer. Instead, I view him as having a tremendous opportunity to help us educate Americans about the importance of not threatening judges and the importance of not crossing this line. Clearly, political debate can be fierce. Our country has a lot of fierce debates right now. But at the end of the day, we need to respect our fellow citizens. And I think particularly protecting our courts is almost sacred to the future perpetuation of our republic. So I think he has a tremendous opportunity now to come forward and acknowledge, I crossed the line, and this is why we don't threaten judges. And I will tell you, we have the best court system in the world. We may not like every decision we receive, but the institution we have of our courts is the best of anywhere in the world. And Senator Schumer now has an opportunity to help send out that teaching, that civics education awareness to all Americans.
Right. And just briefly, if we get in a situation where we're threatening judges, where we're publicly criticizing them, when do you cross the line, and what is the danger in crossing the line?
Well, you cross the line when a reasonable interpretation of the comment is that you're personally threatening the judge. The consequence of this can be far-reaching. Although leadership is merely using words, oftentimes those words become open doors for others to actually perpetuate violence and take actions against our institutions. So that's why this is such an important dialogue we're having.
And Chief Justice Roberts did make a comment, did rebuke Senator Schumer. Do you think that he was in line doing that?
Absolutely. But the problem is active judges, all active judges have ethical principles that they're trying to carefully abide by. All 9 justices of the United States Supreme Court are scrupulously trying to follow best practices ethically for their role as a judge. And that's why former judges like me need to come forward at times like this and defend our courts.
Mm-hmm. We, of course, had President Trump recently tweeting about Supreme Court Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor, saying that they should refrain from ruling on matters that pertain to him. How concerned are judges across the country when they're hearing political comments like this?
Well, I think when the president advocates for recusal, that's fair commentary for anyone in the public, including the president. And these comments by Senator Schumer are distinguishable. But I think it does give us pause that politicians on all across the spectrum should protect our courts. Because if they don't protect our courts, who will?
All right. Chief Justice Martin, it's a very interesting time in our country. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Another dropout in the presidential race today as Senator Elizabeth Warren has decided to end her campaign. Her exit follows a disappointing Super Tuesday finish where she didn't even win in her home state. Warren's departure will now propel Senator Bernie Sanders forward as he goes head-to-head with frontrunner Joe Biden. The question, who might Warren endorse going forward? Sanders did speak to reporters Wednesday but didn't say whether he sought Warren's endorsement. Well, in the last 24 hours, thousands of new cases of coronavirus have been reported overseas. Italy has been hit especially hard by the outbreak. The country is on virtual lockdown. Here in the United States, the Senate is expected to pass an $8.3 billion measure to battle the virus. This as the death toll is rising after another fatality was confirmed overnight in California. The total number of positive cases is now at more than 150 in 17 states. Vice President Mike Pence spoke at a White House briefing Wednesday night to reassure Americans that the federal government is taking all the necessary steps to combat the outbreak.
We do have about 1.5 million test kits going out as we speak to hospitals, particularly hospitals in areas that have seen coronavirus cases.
I've asked them to prioritize the areas where we've had these clusters so that people can be reassured in those areas where we have identified virus has been circulating. In those cases, they will have it available at doctor's office and all of our pediatric offices that would need it.
Globally, more than 95,000 people in at least 80 countries have been infected. The death toll over 3,200. Coming up, how churches and experts are coming together to tackle the subject of mental health and stigma.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening. My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
Later this month, Prestonwood Baptist Church in Plano, Texas will sponsor a conference on the church and mental health. This first-time event is open to the public and will feature experts talking about a variety of topics, including mental health disorders, stigma, abuse, and addiction. And here now with more is Pastor Michael Perrin, Minister of Life Recovery at Prestonwood Baptist. Pastor Michael, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
Mental health is a topic that many churches are just beginning to talk about. Why did you decide to host this conference?
Well, we figured that because 1 in 4 people suffer the chaos of a mental health issue, and 1 in 3 people are going through the bondage of a substance abuse or misuse, that it's not people out in the community, it's actually people in our churches that are going through this. And what we decided to do is partner with the American Association of Christian Counselors and the Health and Human Services Department of the federal government in order to form a collaborative effort so that we can equip the people in the church to deal with the chaos of mental health crises. You know, every one of us, no matter who we are, is going to encounter someone who is going through a mental health crisis with the recent statistics.
Yeah, I know it's so important because those numbers do continue to go up. You're going to be talking about stigma at this conference. What are some of the myths about mental health that you hope to debunk or at least help people to understand and think through?
Well, for such a long time, the church has done a fretful job of dealing with the mental health crisis. For instance, many times people believe or have heard it said that you just need to have more faith or that you have a demon. I mean, it even goes that far. But what we're realizing now through neurobiology is that the brain is damaged and that there is a necessity then for us to come in and help people recover a healthy brain. You know, depression and anxiety is created by what is called a lower loop in the brain system, in which the executive function doesn't even come online. But that stigma within the church has wounded people. And what we're trying to do with this conference is to encourage people to show up and participate if they know someone, or if they're going through a mental health crisis right now, we want to communicate to them that the church is for them. We're not against them, and we want to help in whatever way that we possibly can.
So powerful. Your senior pastor, Jack Graham, has been open in talking about his journey with depression from the pulpit. I know you have a journey of your own. How has that helped your congregation begin to think more clearly about this issue?
Well, I think it all begins, there's 3 steps basically in dealing with any topic like this. The first one is awareness. We need to make people aware that individuals are going through it. And as our pastor freely has shared, he battled a period of depression. My personal journey through substance abuse, I'm 21 years sober this weekend from a methamphetamine addiction. But we're making people aware of that. And that also removes the stigma as well. So awareness is first. The next step is action. We need to tell people what they should do. Having somebody come into the church and then basically referring them out doesn't do them a lot of good. You know, statistics show that about 80% of people going through a problem go to clergy first. And so we want to train clergy in order how to help those who are hurting when they come into the church. And then the third step there is advocacy. And that's what this conference is trying to do. We're trying to advocate for people who are going through the struggle is real. And we're trying to help people understand that while we might not understand all the details, we understand that there is hope in the message of Jesus Christ. And we as a church body should do a better job of stepping up and helping those people.
Well, it's great to hear about the conference, as we know so many are struggling. Pastor Michael, thanks for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after the break.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians are
Christians in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
On this week's episode of The Global Lane, Julio Rivera, editorial director for reactionarytimes.com, explains why Hispanic Americans are attracted to Democratic presidential candidates Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. He also talks about what President Trump and the Republicans must do to win more Hispanic votes.
In the case of Joe Biden, is that there's a lot of name recognition there. Obviously he was Barack Obama's vice president. He was on the Beltway now for the better part of the last 50 years. But what has he really done? What has been his signature piece of legislation that he's either written or sponsored that was ever had really a positive effect for the Hispanic community? I mean, I'm at a loss to try to figure out what that is. And in terms of Bernie Sanders, I mean, you're talking about somebody who romanticizes the Cuban Revolution and somebody who honeymooned out in the Soviet Union. And, people of Hispanic descent, especially those from South America, know just exactly what the dangers of socialism are. And I think that they're the last people that really want to see that those types of policies ever come to America. And even more to the point, when you talk about the fact about the whole immigration issue, there's been so many people who have suffered through bad policies, that have been implemented in South America and have fought and have risked everything and, done everything they had to do to get to America. And so many people did it the right way. And they went through legal channels. And I think that they resent a lot of, the Democrats' positions on, basically illegal residents and, everything that they are able to get in America, basically shirking the rules and skipping the line and, putting themselves at the front and just walking into America.
And many African Americans are, of course, leaving the Democratic Party in the walk-away movement. Often pro-family policies have made the difference there. So how about for Hispanic Americans?
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I think that Hispanics tend to be social conservatives, which is something that the Democrats try to play down. But the fact of the matter is many of them are Catholic. Many of them are pro-life. They don't believe in the whole abortion on demand movement. They believe in traditional marriage. They believe in traditional values, quite frankly. And, the Democrat Party right now tries to pander to every little, minor micro group out there that, has different sets of beliefs. They're pushing this whole transgenderism thing. They're the ones that were at the forefront of the gay marriage movement. And these are values that just don't correspond with what Hispanics in America and Hispanics abroad really believe in.
And how important is abortion and the right to life issue?
Oh, it is very important. I know the Hispanics, if you get out of New York City, if you get out of the coastal areas where there's just a lot of extreme liberalism in general, and you talk to, the average Hispanic person, the average Hispanic person, detests the idea of abortion, and especially abortion on demand. They don't want to be, as legal American taxpayers. They don't want their tax money going towards funding, something that they abhor.
Okay, Julio Rivera, editorial director for reactionarytimes.com. Thank you for providing those insights.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Get Protect Your Sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
Longtime Jeopardy host Alex Trebek shared an honest and hopeful health update Wednesday, talking of his struggles and his faith in God.
Now, I'd be lying if I said the journey had been an easy one. There were some good days, but a lot of not so good days. I joked with friends that the cancer won't kill me, the chemo treatments will. There were moments of great pain, days when certain bodily functions no longer functioned, and sudden massive attacks of great depression that made me wonder if it really was worth fighting on. But I brushed that aside quickly because that would have been a massive betrayal, a betrayal of my wife and soulmate Jean, who has given her all to help me survive. It would have been a betrayal of other cancer patients who have looked to me as an inspiration and a cheerleader of sorts of the value of living and hope. And it would certainly have been a betrayal of my faith in God and the millions of prayers that have been said on my behalf.
Powerful testimony, and that is it for this edition of CBN News Watch. We hope you have a great day.